Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like... yeah.
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
Welcome to another Find the Edge production for the Premier League Cricket Club. Connecting players and coaches, clubs and leagues, volunteers and supporters alike, you're in the right place for the best of the 33 ECB Premier Leagues and the 20 NCCA counties, bringing you the stories, the stats and the standout performances that make this game great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to both our Premier League and NCCA shows so you don't miss any episodes. Now, shall we get stuck in? So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show, and it is match week 2. We're bringing it again, once again, with our friends from B3 Cricket, and joining me as always with his Cric Stats sponsorship, Mr. Hugh Newsome. How you doing, bud?
All good, all good. Fun weekend.
You had a good weekend. You got a 50.
Yeah, I got bored, and slogged one. But yeah, I always feel a bit guilty, just like if I do get some runs, especially at top of the order, that because I've played low down the tree, I sort of feel like some of the lads should have a bit of a hit. So yeah, that's my excuse.
Well, I look forward to hearing how you get on next week, and I won't tell anyone why, but I know why. It'll be quite interesting, definitely. So
because I'm batting 10 fine leg to fine leg for the first team, that's what's going to happen.
Something like that, definitely.
Yeah.
Joining us as always, Mr. Matt Taaffe. He'll pop in every now and again. He's now sat in Blackpool Cricket Club, waiting to have his head ripped off by Mr. Richard Gleeson, hopefully in the nets very shortly. How are you doing, Matt?
All good. Was it the broken bat? V50 Hugh?
It wasn't. It was actually a 15-year-old lad's bat. So yeah, and I first one I towed it just over a fielder's head, and then the second one I think out the middle, and it was much nicer than my actual cricket bat. So I might just nick it next week, and to hell with getting a new bat now. B3 is on my list, but I need to pop over there. I haven't been there yet.
Absolutely. And our guest this week, joining us from Northampton, the furthest most south league to actually get their arse into gear and start playing cricket in April, because the rest of them are all bloody waiting till May, and you know what we all think of that. Mr. Mark Hodgson of Oundle Town Cricket Club. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you, Ian. How are you? Good to be on the show again. Hopefully, well, I say different circumstances to last time. It was obviously an exciting time last time I came on until the week after, which wasn't so exciting for us at Oundle. But
it was described to me as just a bloody wet weekend in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think anybody looking at the forecast a few days out probably could have made that decision.
Absolutely.
But equally frustrating at the same time.
And joking apart, I mean, it was a wet weekend at Derbyshire for the National T20 final, but you lost the bowl out to Northern, but you must have had a bit of a laugh like I did when they flew out to Spain and it did nothing but rain all week.
Yeah, it was quite ironic, really. I must admit, I certainly watched quite a lot of it online. Good. So, I mean, I want to say it was a bit of a relief that it rained a lot, but obviously for those at Northern, it wasn't ideal. But I'm sure they still had a great time anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Does it make you, after watching all of that, does it make you want to win it this year?
Yeah, for sure. We've actually said there's much luck involved in having a run like that. The first few matches, even in the Northamptonshire 2020, they can be just as challenging. I think once we get through, hopefully, if we get through that round, then you never really know. We are suited to 2020, but I guess we'll find out as the season goes on.
Absolutely. Well, our friend Mr. Vinny Sandu always says the same thing. Whoever goes over there from England by far has had the most difficult journey to get to Spain, because there's more games have to be bloody won by, whether it's Northern or yourselves. The amount of games we have to win to get through there is just ridiculous, to say the least. But it proves what good sides are, and you got to the final, mate. You had a great run, and looking back, we'll get to this week. Last weekend, you started the season with a bit of a flyer as well, including yourself at the top of the order with 83.
Yeah, that came as a bit of a surprise, I won't lie. We actually had, for as long as I can remember, we've had the longest pre-season in terms of friendlies, but equally the weather. I mean, previously we've had games organised, but rain's washed them out, and we've kind of gone into the season with no game time under our belt. But this year we had 3 games, which we won every one, and then obviously started the league on Saturday, which, we had a bit of a flyer, so hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Got to ask, what time did you get finished by? I mean, bowling Geddington out for 85 after 26 overs. That was an early finish.
You know what? I can't actually remember exactly what time it was, but I do remember having a Corona in my hand quite early. Certainly, probably 4:30, something like that.
Yeah, good day out to get some runs, get a win on the board, and you've got a Corona in your hand. Mr. Matt Taaffe's going, that sounds like a good weekend, doesn't it?
Perfect Saturday, that, isn't it?
Absolutely. He'll find out in a few months' time when the Northern Premier League decide to actually play league cricket instead of cup cricket. We've got to ask one question about Oundle Town straight away, and it caused a bit of fun straight away when we saw the announcement of a signing during the winter. But no relation, is he, Mr. Wasim Akram Jr.?
No relation. We still haven't seen him bowl yet, so okay. I mean, hopefully his bowling will have an element of similarity to the namesake, but he arrived on the Wednesday previously, played a friendly on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I think scored 80 off 39 balls, including 10 sixes. Okay. So we've seen his batting. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. I think probably the English weather initially didn't help. He's had a bit of a hamstring niggle, but I think he'll be good to go this weekend.
I mean, that name alone is worth 3 or 4 wickets, isn't it? Just on the score sheet.
It must be. And actually, that first friendly, we already had people saying, "Oh, is he bowling? Is he bowling?" So yeah, hopefully he has the same impact with the ball.
Can I make a suggestion? Could you make sure at your home games you've got a tannoy, and when he comes on to bowl, you make a big thing. Coming on to bowl, Wasim Akram Jr.
Just drop the junior. Just drop the junior. Yeah. I think you've just got to leave it there. Yeah.
The batters are just going to, I can imagine what I'd think if I was there. Is he left arm as well?
No, right-handed. Yeah, if he was left-handed, that would have been even better.
Absolutely.
Just make sure he runs in from the side screen. Just get him, no matter, even if you bowl spin, just get him.
To be fair, at Oundle, not the hardest thing to do because it's quite short straight. So I'd imagine he'll be quite close to the boundary.
Absolutely. Hey, it was a great start of the weekend for you guys. Shall we have a look straight away, Hugh, while we're there at the Northants League, since they deigned us to play in April, which was brilliant. What did you see around the Northants League at the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I mean, interesting set of results, some decent scores. We're looking at 200s. I mean, Peterborough Findon looked like a pretty interesting game. Findon 230 and Peterborough knocked them off 3 down. I mean, that's a bit unusual. Josh Smith 135 and 5 wickets. So he's had a bit of a game, hasn't he? And
a bit of a start to the season, that.
Yeah, but for Findon to go down so early, that's really going to open things up, isn't it, for the rest of the season? Rushton Desborough looked like a really good game as well. 215 played 216. Rushton getting there 9 down with about 10 balls to go. Ewan Hughes at Rowland 71 from 85 for Rushton. Zakar Khawaja 52 for Desborough. Yeah, it's a couple of really, really good games there. Just the only disappointing one in terms of total runs scored was 100 plays 100 with Kettering and Kislingbury Temperance. Said that one right? bit of a shootout there. Kettering all out for 102 and Kislingbury at 106 for 6 in 30 overs. So the pitch wasn't quite so easy going at that one.
Yeah, I think seeing those runs, that was a big game at top of the league, really, isn't it? Peterborough and Findon Dolben. So, two of the top teams in the league going head to head right at the beginning. But the game that I caught my eye on was that Desborough Town one. No Isaac Melentis there. Is he coming back to play there as far as you're aware, Mark?
No, he's not coming back. Last year was his last year. So I can't remember his first name. Is there a Redfern?
Archie Redfern.
Yeah, I believe that's their overseas. I think also from Australia.
Okay, so Isaac's been top run scorer in the league for a couple of years now, hasn't he? So that'll be quite a loss for Desborough there to lose him.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of the better overseas that I've seen in the league over the last few years.
Definitely. Talking of which, we're going to talk overseas professionals now with our friend from Cric, Mr. Matt Taaffe, because, joking apart, he has got training to go to and we are going to be quite nice to him. You had some good performances considering there's hardly anyone in the country this weekend.
We did. We've got 72 in the country with another 90 odd still set to arrive. So we're still waiting over the next 1 or 2 weeks to be full strength. But like you say, there's been some big scores and some serious bowling performances. But Ramiz Alam for Norton in Hales, 134. So not a bad debut for him. One player that really going to keep an eye out this year is West Horton's Dick Shanzu Negi. He's gone 125 on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Off 82 balls in the national knockout against Bootle. He's averaging 230 so far this summer. So he's probably one from me to look out for this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Mosley, former West Indian opener, 121 for Atherton. And then Adisha Tilkanchana for Old Wolves. He backed up his 98 not out last week with 102 this weekend. Again, multiple hundreds we can talk about, but probably not linked to Premier League cricket. So
there was one. Yuvraj Singh for Cookney, 125 off 87.
Wasn't Saturday cricket.
There you go.
It looks like a Sunday League game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we've not really wrote about it.
He's one to watch, we believe, though.
Yeah, he's proper. He's serious player.
Just a bit. But on the bowling side, your top bowler of the weekend was definitely Premier League.
Yeah, it was. Sachindu Columbag for Downham Stowe, 6 for 33, and what looked like one serious game of cricket.
Again.
And then Johan Madej for Porthill Park, 5 for 38. Delanka Uwart for Ainsdale, just first game back, 5 for 79 again. I'm sure we'll be reading about him. Dushan Vimukti was at Townville last year, made the move to Walston, 5 for 19. And then Rajit Day for Lightcliff, 5 for 34. Again, a few others to mention, but not linked to Premier League cricket. So
yeah, but Porthill Park, that one's going to be an interesting one. Dushan at Walston, we're going to be watching him no matter what. We just love saying his name to start with, but he's a player, isn't he? And that one, me and you were exchanging messages about. That one had gone under the radar. I thought he'd gone somewhere else. He'll be a player big time, but I think Mr. Colombe at Downham is the one to watch in the early season. And Hugh's going to tell me again, East Anglia League at the weekend. Absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
Well, it's just producing already, isn't it? I mean, you kind of feel like it's one of the leagues that should be a May league. It feels like a May league, doesn't it? Yeah. But it gets going in April, maybe the over East there. But just that Downham side, it's going to be, we sort of gravitate towards certain teams early doors, and just their little story with the three brothers in there. You've got how do you pronounce it, Matt? What's the surname? Sachindu Columbage. You got Freddie Ferry as well. They've I don't know, to jump straight into that league, knock over Mildenhall. They've gone back-to-back wins. It's a really, really great start in East Anglia for them.
Two tight wins they've got, which shows they've got some what's down below to sort of get through there as well.
Just looking at the scorecard, the Wilcox family, we've got Arthur Wilcox got, 150 odd week before. So this game, you've got Finlay Wilcox with 64, Ben Wilcox with 33 off 63, and Arthur Wilcox 24 off 28. So, you've got another 100 between the Wilcox family again. So if the Wilcox family are collectively going to put out 150 runs each week, and you've got wickets as well and some other quality players in amongst that, that's useful, isn't it?
It's going to be an interesting one, definitely. We'll come back to that. Hey, going to let you go, Mr. Taaffe, so you can go and get your head knocked off by Mr. Gleeson. Anybody else who's wanting to do, I'm presuming they all do line up to knock your head off these days.
Just wait for the whiteboard to come out and see where they're at, and then see who I'm linked up against this week.
Absolutely. But before you go, got to ask, how did the weekend go?
Lost Saturday against Kendal on a very sticky pitch, and then the National was a bit easy on Sunday.
Who you got in the National next?
We've got Lee away, so that'll be
Matthew McKinnon.
Yeah, with Brownie as well, so because he'll be available on a Sunday, so should be a good game that.
I'm working that day, otherwise that might have been the one to go to, I think.
Yeah, but at Lee as well.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Go get your head knocked off, mate.
Cheers, guys. Go well.
Cheers,
enjoy.
Looking around that East Anglia League again, I mean, the one thing that stood out, funnily enough, it's the same in Northants, I thought, though, Mark. Runs just come in a plenty very early on. We expect them to come in East Anglia, and not quite as much maybe as they did in Northants last week. East Anglia, some of the numbers are huge again, aren't they?
Well, I mean, we must be looking at national records potentially getting broken here in terms of the batting if this weather persists, because I'm just looking at the scores here: 290, 240, 308, 293, 255, 243, 266, 216. There's only 2 teams gone under 200 this weekend in the East Anglia Prem. So, obviously the big scores aren't there, individual scores aren't necessarily there, but it's just that consistency of pitches. So, yeah, I mean, we don't see scores like this very often this time of year. Sudbury, Swardston, Sudbury 308 for 5 in their 50, and Swardston 293 all out in 46. So they were nearly there, weren't they? I mean, they weren't too far away.
And do you know the remarkable fact about that game?
Go for it.
601 runs. It's only the 3rd highest number of runs in a match this weekend in the country.
Yeah.
Who'd have said 601 would be the third? Okay, the next 2 highest are 606 and 615. Yeah. But 601 and you're not topping the runs around the country.
That's it. Well, Adam Smith for Sudbury there, 109 in that game. But yeah, just lots of people chipping in. Saranga Rajaguru, 54 and 3 for 66 for Swardston, with a great effort there. But yeah, it wasn't quite enough. Downham Stowe, we talked about with the Freddie Fair with 80 and the Wilcox brothers getting it done. Darren Ironside, familiar name for anyone at Mildenhall, 90 off not too many balls, and Tristan Blackledge 2 for 51, but it wasn't enough for them. Frintlawn beat Great Witchingham. Mackenzie Jones 73. Thought he'd do well. Great Witchingham with a few names popping up, but the one that caught my eye at Great Witchingham was
Mr. Shamar Holder.
Shamar Holder, who's popped up there. We weren't expecting that. I don't think you were expecting that, were you?
No, that was a very last minute signing.
So was he at Ogbrook last year?
I think he was, but the one I would put, the thing that came for me in that game was a guy who came in at number 7, I think it was, for Frinton, Mackenzie Jones. Now, I'm guessing this is Mackenzie Jones of Scotland.
That's right,
Yeah, 73 off 76 balls. He's a player to watch. He's played some 2s cricket around the country as well, definitely.
Yeah, well, he's been an interesting player, Mackenzie Jones. Was he out in European cricket as well?
Was.
Did we? Yeah, we saw him in European cricket.
I think he played the Western Shield as well.
He could well have done, yeah. So it's something I've kept an eye on the last couple of years, and he's relatively local. He might be at uni down there. I can't quite remember, but yeah, he's done very well. And I was expecting him to pop up this year in the East Anglia Prem after playing for Colchester and East Essex last year in the Cambridge and Huntingdonshire League. So yeah, he's started well. But yeah, interesting to see how they go there. And then Ashmanart and Ashmanart and Barton Wanderers lost out to Sawston and Babraham. 232 plays 180 there, and then Coptop only managed a paltry 190 chasing 265 from Bury St Edmunds. So yeah, just a really interesting high scoring week in the East Anglia Prem.
Once again. Question for you, Mark, and it's one of these things that I found quite interesting doing the transfers over the winter. And, 720 plus transfers around the country that we managed to get onto our list. There's not a lot happened in Northants to start with, but also doesn't seem to be much crossover between Northants and other leagues, I've found.
Yeah, it's always a strange one. And I think certainly being captain, you're always looking at who can improve your team, who can improve the squad. But I think there's so much more that goes to it. We've obviously got a fairly settled team. Equally, in club cricket, you don't know availability wise, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's all very well and good trying to sign a player who you see playing in the first team, but actually, if they have to start in the twos, it makes it so hard to kind of get players over. Especially, I think I mentioned it on the last podcast. At Oundle, we don't pay anyone, so we're always competing against other teams that do. But I think, as you said there, within the Northants League, certainly looking around at the scorecards from the weekend, there doesn't seem to be too much movement. And I think those that have signed players are probably players that have been in or around the Northants League before.
Yeah.
I think I was surprised that obviously Brigstock went down a couple of divisions. So I was expecting to see a few of their players appearing in the Prem, but they've managed to keep the majority of their players as well. So there could be a few quick games in, I think, Div 2, maybe Div 3 they've gone to, which will be interesting. But not many transfers at all.
So they've gone down because the junior issues with junior
sector. That's right,
sector.
they no junior section, which I think they had certainly 1 year, maybe 2 years to fix, but they didn't.
Are they putting that in place then? Obviously, if they're keeping all these players, that's a view to coming back up, so they obviously need to get their house in order.
Yeah, I assume so. There's a group of friends, I think, that all went to school together that play at Brigstock, so whether they just now think, I'm just going to stay there, play with their friends, or whether they've got that view to get back into the Prem, I'm not too sure.
It's going to be difficult for some Div 2 sides, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our twos played them on Saturday, and actually did a lot better than I thought they would do. That's no shock to our twos, because I said to quite a few people that could be a quick game at the weekend, but no, they did quite well, in all fairness to them.
Do you think Northants sits sort of betwixt and between, therefore? Where you sort of an hour and a half-ish from London, you got the Birmingham League and the other league, bigger leagues up that. Do you think that's why you sort of end up with your own sort of players staying that way and not too much in and out?
Yeah, potentially. And I guess, I mean, we've always had quite a few players go off to uni as well. So if they're disappearing down south, up north for uni, quite often they'll find teams around there. So it becomes quite hard. But yeah, I think certainly in and around, well, Northamptonshire as well, there's so many private schools where some teams are then hit by great availability for half the season when schools are out.
Yeah.
But initially, there are teams that struggle. And I guess that's the case around a lot of areas in the country. But I think certainly, I mean, the teams that I know in Northamptonshire, a lot of those will have players coming in from schools.
Yeah, nothing worse.
Obviously, you've got Oundle on your doorstep, quite literally, which feeds players in. So, is it a bit difficult at times to actually say, well, we could try this lad and obviously push him into the Prem? We know how difficult it is getting lads going into Premier League teams, but then there's quite an investment if it doesn't go so well for him then to clear off halfway through the season, and then you've got to fill his spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we've tended to look at the younger school lads and try and feed them in through the threes and then the twos. And then hopefully by that point, they've got that loyalty when they've worked their way into the first team. I know we've certainly had, well, as long as I've been playing at Oundle, that's always been the case, really, which has worked quite well. But equally, if you're a team that needs somebody to come in from the school first team, as you say, that can be tricky to kind of repay that faith in them if they're not doing too well. And then equally, I'm sure there'll be lots of teams sniffing around them that if they see they're not in the first team. So, yeah.
You get people offering, summer jobs for some of the sixth formers there to try and keep them around. Is there any of that going on?
Again, I think the players we've had at Oundle from the school have been local. I remember years ago we did have one lad that I think lived down Cornwall way, ended up coming up for the summer. So yeah, we found him a summer job in that case.
Brilliant. Can be done, definitely. Hey,
it can be.
Let's get up north, shall we, Hugh, and look at one or two of the leagues that I've got going last weekend for the first time. I'm going to start where I was at the weekend. Didn't go to a game because I was at my daughter's house for her birthday, but I was not too far away from New Farnley in the Bradford League once again, and they got going up in the Bradford League once again. New Farnley, the champions from last year, they had a relatively simple win, I think is the best way to put it. Pudsey St Lawrence won 77 all out, and New Farnley knocked them off with plenty of overs to spare, knocked them off after just 28 overs. But what else did you see around the Bradford League yourself, Hugh?
Well, Stephen Bullen with a duck, which, that's a rarity, isn't it?
Very rare.
But I was also surprised that you didn't sneak away from your daughter's birthday to go watch the cricket, which is what you normally do. Basically, that's the excuse. I'm not sure there's much interest in the daughter. It's the trip to the Bradford League that's the main reason.
Yeah. Well, am I editing that bit in or out? I'll decide afterwards.
Yeah. But Jerlane, Undercliff bowled out for 108. Jerlane knocked him off 2 down. Sabir Mahmood 55 of 78, and Mohammed Amir 5 for 28, which is a great effort from him. Farsley Methley 42, 242 plays, 238. That looked like an interesting game. Farsley got there comfortably overs-wise, but with 1 wicket remaining. Harry Dukes 60 off 71 balls. Seamus Nazir 3 for 45. Jared Warner 81 for Methley, and Josh Sullivan 4 for 48 for them as well. Carlton, Bradford and Bingley looked pretty fun as well. Bradford and Bingley bowled out for 170, but they had overs in the bank, and Carlton, so they're only 30 short with plenty of time spare. So, that potentially could have gone either way. So, yeah, some pretty close games through the league. New Farnley are flexing their muscles already, don't they? Yeah,
I think the game that I was interested in was seeing Townville, who lost a number of players during the winter, as we know, but they've come away with a nice 6-wicket win over Cleckheaton. Quite comfortable there. The Collins boys who've gone over to Townville helped them out there. And I think we did talk pre-season that it could be one of the clubs that may struggle a little bit to on the back of the fact that they've lost some of their main players, including Dushan that we've already mentioned, but done perfectly well. So good on Townville. Great little club there, and great to see them get going. I want to move a little bit further south now, Hugh. For the first time ever, we're going to talk about the 33rd Premier League in the country. Now, we're going to be very brutal about this. We don't know this league as well as we know some of the others, but we're going to get to know it because there's some really good cricket going on in the Huddersfield Premier League. And let's start with the big name, shall we? The big name in that league is Hoyle & Swain. They're the ones who I'm told have got all of the ability to bring these players in, this player left, right and centre. And their lineup started off with the following: Ben Kohler-Cadmore, Harpreet Bhatia Singh and Samit Patel. Not a bad start for them either, was it?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's. I think if you've got that sort of lineup straight off the bat in the first round of the comp in a new Premier League as well, it's going to be an interesting watch, and there'll be some grumblings, shall we say, potentially amongst some of the parts of the country, but potentially. But I mean, Ben Kohler-Cadmore's been absolute class, hasn't he, for a good period. Samit doesn't even get a bat, that's always interesting. He's getting a bowl as well, but he's got 2 wickets for off his 4 overs. But yeah, it's almost a thanks for coming for Samit Patel. And if you're winning games with a thanks for coming for Samit Patel, you're doing all right, aren't you?
It's not a bad start, is it? Just, you mentioned Ben Kohler-Cadmore, 68 off 37 balls. The Hoyle & Swain bowled Skelmanthorpe out for 119, and then they decided, let's get this done in 13 overs flat. So if we thought you finished early, Mark...
that's a quick one, isn't it?
Yeah, but not the quickest in the country at the weekend. There was a game quicker than the 39 overs that was bowled at Hoyle & Swain. And when I was going through the records around the country, I thought, no one's beaten it, no one. Then I found it, and we'll come to it shortly, definitely. What else around that league, though, Hugh?
Well, it's just, I think it's going to take a bit of time to settle down, isn't it? I mean, the clubs are there. It's not like the Dorset League, which is a bit short on numbers. But, we've got 12 teams. People are going to have to get used to the level. And if the level is Ben Kohler-Cadmore, Samit Patel, things might have to adjust a little bit. Should that, stay throughout the seasons. So yeah, we may see a somewhat lopsided league this year. We may not. We know that teams like Great Witchingham that have got brought in players with big names doesn't always work. But so it should be a fun watch. But it might be a bit lopsided. But yeah, Rastrick 182 for 4. Past Golkar, who were bowled out for 181, so Rastrick got there pretty comfortably. Morelands beat Thongsbridge. These are all some new names for me, so it's all good. 203 plays 162. Kirkburton 253. It's a nice score for them. They bowled out Almondsbury Wesleyan for 163. And we talked about the Hollandsway game. And then Honley 187 all out, chasing 196. So that could have gone down to it did go down to the wire. They were 2 overs to go and just needed the 9 runs, so that would have been a great finish. And then Barkisland or Bark Island 185 and Shepley 78 all out. So another close game there. Shepley, Shepley were well on course to get that done, but a couple of late wickets got Barkisland home. So yeah, it's a really fun game, that one.
Interesting thing for me looking at the Huddersfield League, and I'm going to bring this right back to you, Mark. There was only one side scored 250, only one other side scored 200. In the Nottingham League, so we're talking from Huddersfield, we're going across the country a little bit further south, 200s, 250s being scored all over the place. Down to you guys, some big. What is it in a league that keeps those numbers down sometimes? Because it's quite strange, isn't it, how you can go from one county to the next, and one's getting 250, 300s, and one's at 180. What can you see the difference there?
It's a really good question, actually. Probably certainly realised it or noticed it over the last few years that I guess one reason for that is grounds. What are the wickets like? Quite a few years previously, we've had groundsmen who have been retired, do it for the love of it, get a little bit of pocket money. He then stopped. Last year was kind of an interim, so we had people who knew what they were doing, but just doing it after work, so not the time going into the wicket, which at times the wickets weren't great. And then this year we've actually gone down the route of getting a guy who's doing 2 or 3 grounds, so it's his job. And obviously the weather has helped so far, but we're already noticing a difference in our wicket. So I guess that's one area that is hard to tell from just a scorecard. You don't know what club's situation is with a groundsman. Equally, I mean, I can't remember what team you just said, sorry, but Richard Gleeson playing up north, if you come across someone like that on a Saturday, I know we've got good links with Burley Cricket Club in the Links Prem, and Luke Wood signed for a team in the Links League, which will be interesting as well. So it's always tough, isn't it? That actually, and I think club cricket, if a team's got 2-3 quality bowlers, especially if the overs are up towards 13, 15 that they can bowl, you can soon come across some quite low scores.
Definitely. I think one of the things you just pointed out was really interesting about having a paid grounds person who it's his job and he might do 2 or 3 grounds. That's common in East Anglia, where the scores are very high. You start to correlate one or two things, don't you, around these things? I might see if I do a bit more research into that, because I know there's a couple of guys every Friday I see it on the on social media, the guys down in East Anglia who've done their 4 or 5 pitches for the weekend. You think, okay, and that is a different skill set to what most of us have got around the country, which is a volunteer ground staff, isn't it?
100%. And actually, it was like last year, my groundsman who's taken it on this year, I said, we're struggling. What would you suggest? And immediately he said that a lot of groundsmen are too scared to get the pitch wet enough. So that's
absolutely agree.
So that's and actually, well, as he said, he's trying to get the moisture levels right already this season, and the wickets have been better than I remember.
I always point out to anybody who talks about hosing down a pitch, I'll never forget being at Derbyshire for a T20 game a couple of years ago, and for whatever reason I was there a little bit later after the game had finished, and I'll never forget seeing Neil, the Derbyshire groundsman, come onto the ground within 15 minutes the player's gone with the biggest hose I've ever seen in my life, and literally just flooding the square. And straight away I'm thinking, if our groundsman saw this, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, it sounds a bit like Derby in September when we were there.
It was, yes, without a shadow, definitely. Talking of which, about nationals, you guys are into the next round of the National Club Championship, and you've got Buckhurst Hill in the next round.
Yeah, we have indeed. Our wicket keeper wasn't too happy because he comes up from London, so he thought he might have a relatively close game, but he wasn't too happy when he found out that it was still at Oundle.
Is that part of the fun with the nationals for you, though, that you get to play these other teams from other leagues and test yourself, but also then see these other grounds and actually feel what that pitch might be different?
Yeah, for sure. And I mentioned earlier that with availability always different in club cricket, we probably get some stronger sides out on Sundays.
Yeah.
Albeit this week, Bedfordshire didn't have a game, so that meant that we had one or two extras. But there's a lad that works at Oundle School. We've got Josh Hull's brother is still at Stamford School,
right?
So he managed to play on Sunday. So just by adding two quality players, it transforms your team even more. So yeah, no, we're excited for hopefully another cup run. We love the 2021. So hopefully, last year was our first experience of the 40 over one. So hopefully we lost first round last year, but that was against Harpenden, who we came up against in the T20s.
Who did rather well in their league anyway.
Yeah, they're quite a good side, aren't they?
Yeah, to say the least, definitely. Buckhurst Hill, though, you'll be pleased to know, haven't got Mr. Peter Hadsoglu this year, because he was the one who destroyed Brentwood for Buckhurst Hill last year, wasn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, that's right. But the mention of Josh Hull's brother, everyone's going to be thinking, is he an absolute unit?
He is. Rugby's his sport, though. So,
there's Josh Hull's sport was rugby as well, from all accounts.
Yeah, certainly initially it was. So yeah, no, Ollie is. He's a gentle giant as well. Bowls quick. I think rugby is his passion. So I'd expect that's the direction he will go.
And what are we talking? What's Josh Hull? Is he 6'7", 6'8", something like that? Are we? Is he that tall? He certainly looks like
probably
wide.
Not quite as tall. Certainly well built, and I think
left arm,
right arm. But actually, and I'm sure Josh probably won't mind me saying this, I think at the same age, Ollie is quicker.
Okay, don't lose it to rugby, is what we say.
That's right.
I mean, we're trying our hardest.
Hey, let's get back up north. Across from the Bradford Premier League, we have one of the other leagues that we enjoy talking about this a lot, the Yorkshire Premier League North. Now, I've got to go to one game and one game alone to start with. Forget everything else that happened in the country. We were the first to talk to this gentleman last year, and we were so pleased to see Mr. Nigel Martin make his Knaresborough Cricket Club Premier League debut at Sheriff Hutton Bridge on Saturday. 35 years after he made his Premier League football debut. I mean, it was absolutely fabulous to see him go out there and play. And he even got to have a chat, I understand, with Bumble, because Bumble is a Sheriff Hutton man, and I believe they might have had a chat up there from what I've seen. Unfortunately for Knaresborough, as they came back to the Premier League, didn't get the result. Sheriff Hutton beat them.
No, but, they put up a good account for themselves. Yeah. I think, when you're coming into a league, it's important to just bed in a little bit, isn't it? I mean, some teams fly in there, but other teams can crash and burn early. They've done neither of those things, but yeah. I suspect they might walk away against obviously a very good side, feeling like, okay, we can probably compete here. It was 182 for 3. Sheriff Hutton Bridge, Knaresborough got 176 in their 50, but no, they certainly held their own. Nigel Martin didn't get a bat, unfortunately, which is a bit disappointing. But
No, we will see him. We will definitely see him back there. But that league again, there was some great players coming out of the Yorkshire ranks. Johnny Tattersall played for Knaresborough and got some runs though, didn't he?
And we got Alex Lilly as well. 44, 46 off 46 was a great effort from him. So yeah, they're a strong side, aren't they? It'll be interesting to see how they go. Just jumping around the rest of that league, Castleford Clifton Alliance.
Big win that for Castleford, beating Clifton
absolutely.
Alliance.
Chris Holliday, he's moved over from Townville, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And we thought Townville would struggle without him, and so far they've done great. But yeah, he's 62 for him. Bryn Llewellyn, lovely to see him back. he hasn't taken off like he took off last year. But actually, no, I think the early season he got put a few together last season, then he took off. So yeah, Brynwell 1140. But yeah, great win for Clifton Alliance. Woodhouse Grange got an easy win against SA. They bowled them out for just 68 and got them in 13 overs. Harry Gamble 21 not out. And
that was the game that finished quicker than any other game in the country at the weekend. 38 overs in total bowled.
There you go.
Less than a national knockout, 1 innings.
Still, I mean, we've seen a lot shorter games, haven't we?
We have, yes.
And then, yeah, Driffield, Beverley. Driffield posted 194 for 8. Alex Drury, 64. George Drury, he got 31 as well. But yeah, Beverley got the job done with 4 wickets left, about 8 balls left.
Yeah, relatively comfortably.
Yeah, with a great sort of team effort, couple of 50s. Wickets spread about. So yes, it's a good win for Beverley. And then York had a very easy win against Holzingari, who came up last year, that stuck around, did really well. But yeah, they've had a tough start to the season, being bowled out for 81 after York got 211. Will Frayne 76.
Some of those Yorkshire lads coming out of the academy and the twos going out to play for their clubs on a Saturday, doing the job. One of them, our friend Noah, scored 50 on Sunday then in the National Championship as well for Driffield. So
we've been looking at the twos, haven't we? The Yorkshire twos look really, really strong. And we're scratching our heads as to how they're going to get all those players into that first team, because they just keep putting up hundreds. So yeah, it's going to be tough for anybody to break into the Yorkshire first team. I wonder if we might see a few of them popping up in a few of the counties, because those opportunities aren't there.
Well, I know a county that might need a player or two on loan, and the gentleman who's our guest this week is is sat there now. Northants look as though they could do with some extra players at the moment, don't they, Mark?
Yeah, they certainly do. I know that 1 or 2 of the teams in the league often have one of the county players playing for them, which they seem to be few and far between so far. I mean, we've only had 1 league game, but from all the rumours going around, I don't think there are going to be as many floating out to club side. So yeah, they could certainly do with a player or 2.
Well, I'll give a shout out to a couple of players who are playing in a twos game as we speak right now. Connor Haddow of High Wycombe playing for Northants twos, and he's playing against Leicestershire twos, where Julius Samarawa is playing for them from Jersey. So 2 guys who are very experienced when it comes to playing out in the European game out in Spain, but 2 top quality players in terms of left arm bowler, and Julius is an all rounder. They're the sort of guys that we'd love to see get more of a chance in second team and even first team cricket at places like Northampton and Leicester, isn't it, Hugh?
Well, Connor's just one you do. I mean, we always scratch our head over a few players, but he's one, isn't there? Especially with the left arm. Left arm just doesn't seem to be quite as, left arm. That's such a cheat code in Premier League cricket, isn't it? But it doesn't seem to have quite the same cachet in county cricket that maybe it once did. I don't know, but you just look at someone like Connor, and I think if there was more money, particularly in the second division. Yeah, counties being a bit braver and maybe having a little bit more money for a few other contracts, and this is where this 100 money might really help lift a few lads into the professional ranks. So yeah, he could certainly be one.
Definitely. Let's jump up to one of the other leagues that started at the weekend, and let's go to, I'm sorry, Mark, we've got to talk about the Liverpool and District League and our friends at Northern, Ormskirk and all those boys up there. They got going up there in Liverpool. Northern with I think it was a comfortable win in the end. It was only 9 runs, but I looked at the scorecard and I thought it looked reasonably comfortable. Great game at Colwyn between Colwyn Bay and Formby, and we'll come to Formby in a second when it comes to national competition. But what did you catch up around the league there, Hugh?
Well, just plenty of runs already, isn't there? Jack Carney 79 for Formby, Andrew Clark 98, Birkenhead, Steve Rimmer 94 for Bootle. Just looking around, we've got Gary Knight and George Lavelle, hundreds for Ormskirk. I think George Lavelle got 100 in a twos game this week, or it certainly did batted well in a twos game this week. So yeah, it just, runs. And I mean, there's a few wickets knocking about, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a batter summer, as we've said, and we might see some records potentially coming out of this league as well.
Yeah, I did put a comment on social media that Northern had put something out there. Tom Sefton had taken 6 for, and I couldn't resist. It was death taxes, Tom Sefton taking wickets. It just goes on for bloody ever, doesn't he?
6 for 82, yes. Yeah.
Outdone in that game, though, Tom. Khalid Usman, 6 for 69, I think it was, for Rain Hill.
Yeah, and less overs
you
as
got
well.
the win.
So,
Got the win, that's more important, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, we don't always see that many runs up in the Liverpool District competition early doors. So, again, the pitches are saying a lot.
It's also Tom Sefton, 28 overs, isn't it? It's not fair on some of the other bowlers. They should have to have some of their wickets taken off them for the amount of overs they are allowed to bowl up there. But yeah, we'll see. We can build some sort of graduated chart into just knock a few wickets off, couldn't we?
Absolutely. I think that'd be a lot fairer because these leagues where only allowed to bowl 12 overs, it's a different ball game, Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I must admit, we've gone from certainly the first half of the season has always been 15 overs per bowler.
Mm-hmm.
That's now dropped to 13 this year, which I think we're not complaining about at Oundle because we've got quite a few all-rounders, so it probably plays into our hands more so.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, it always amazes me the different amounts of overs people can bowl. And even just the kind of, certainly in the Northants League, in the win-lose-draw stuff, we still have leg-side wides, which just, to me, doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think in a few years probably will be outvoted.
I'm sure it will. Well, talking of win-lose-draw, I did a bit of... I was running through the results of the weekend and thought, something stands out to me here. And I did a quick calculation, he says. Of the 105 games played around the whole of the country in the Premier League at the weekend, how many do you think were a tie or a draw, Hugh? Bearing in mind there were 3 or 4 leagues playing win-lose-draw.
Well, it won't be many. You see it all the time. You think draw cricket produces draws, and actually it doesn't.
Just 4 games. One of them was a tie, 3 draws.
I was going to say under 5.
Yeah, but what I found really interesting was 55% of the wins across the whole country at the weekend, you can see how I spend my weekends, were the team that batted first. Now, I thought that's quite a big number, 55% there. And it does weigh itself across different leagues. I'm going to keep a look on that over the coming weeks. Now, obviously, the weather's going to make a big difference. People putting runs on the board, going out there, and then you've got something to bowl at that clearly. But it is interesting. I haven't got records of the toss, if anyone asks as well, because I'm not that sad to pick all of those notes as well.
I have.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely. Hey, let's move across from Liverpool and District. We're going to go bear in mind, I love the Liverpool and District because it goes all the way to bloody Colwyn Bay. But you go all the way past Colwyn Bay to the North Wales League, which did start a week or so ago. But we've got to bring up Mr. Dan Evans' name, playing for St. Asaph, Hugh.
Yeah, so St. Asaph, interesting game. I mean, we've been talking about runs. I mean, I'll just jump above in my little fixture above, and we've got Menai Bridge, 348 from there, 50.
Yeah.
Bethesda, all out for 51, and then we drop down to St. Asaph versus Northant. St. Asaph posted 91 all out, total carnage. Bowled Northop out for 67. Dan Evans with 8 for 31. So, and we've got a Jordan Evans with 18 on the other side. I'm assuming that is no family relation, but we can only hope that there is.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can remember yourself, Hugh, how many 8-fers we had at last season, but I don't think it was that many. So to see one in week 2, that's early, especially when there's runs everywhere. To see a game that only lasted in grand total of, 48 overs. So how about this one for you, Mark? A game that lasted 48 overs and they scored in total between them less than 160 runs. And both were bowled out. That's what you call bowlers on top.
100%. Yeah. As a batter, you don't like to see that too often.
Not in the slightest.
Just looking at the strike rates, I mean, there's virtually nobody with a strike rate above 50. But Jordan Evans, we mentioned him there, 18 off 9 balls for his 18. So he's walked out and gone, right, lads, come on, I'm going for this. And I think looking at everybody else scratching around, it was probably the way to go. The other top scorer for Northop was Bart Ryan Bezic, 12 off 11. So the 2 lads who actually went for it are the ones who actually got most of the runs for them. It's one of those totals, isn't it? 91.
Yeah.
it falls in the gap of being, an easy chase or a real tricky one. And obviously Northup come out and found the going tough.
And in that game above our score sheets that we've got, Hugh, I've also got to go back to Menai Bridge. Menai Bridge with Dion Holden scoring 141 off 128 balls. Well done there. When Bethesda got bowled out for 51, you've got 3 players with 3 for. So the opening bowler, 3 for 26, 3 for 24. Second change bowler, Mr. Jones, 1 over, 1 maiden, 3 for none. That's how to finish a game, isn't it?
Under 11 stats, aren't they? Under 11 stats.
Absolutely. You're like, really? Yeah. And obviously, you won't be surprised to know that he did bowl the last 3 balls of the game. Took the last 3 wickets. They went from 49 for 7 to 51 for 8, 51 for 9, 51 all out. Yes, utter carnage at St. Asaph without a shadow.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the video of this game as well, and you can appreciate some of the cricket going on that final over. There wasn't, a huge amount of endeavour, shall we say, to stay in.
Yeah.
I think the game.
If you're going to watch it, hide behind the sofa. Just in case, that's all I'll say, definitely. Yeah. Elsewhere in the North Wales League, though, scores were back to sort of that bottom end, that 120, 150s, weren't they?
That's your typical North Wales sort of start to the season scores, aren't they? Harrison Jones 5 for 16 for Brimbo. That was a really great effort from him. Denby, against Brimbo, but they still lost. Brimbo got the job done there. Jason Underwood 44. And then, Conway versus Bangor. Bangor got an easy win, bowling Conway out for 120 and getting it 1 down. Nadeem Raymond, 58 off 91 balls. Nathaniel Scott, 42 from 70. So, it's a fairly typical weekend minus Menai Bridge.
348. Hey, let's go on to the final league that got started at the weekend. We'll have done all 7 who got started the weekend. Then the North Staffordshire South Cheshire League, where again something quite unusual happened, I believe. 6 games in the Premier League, 1 home win, 5 away wins. You don't see that in many Premier Leagues ever. Categorically, and you look at some of the scores there. Now this league is renowned for being low scoring, but the highest scoring game of the week in that league was actually the champions Hemheath getting beat by Newcastle and Hartshill. Now we all know that from last year, Hemheath started really poorly last year as well. I hope this isn't the same for them this year, Hugh.
Yeah, no, it's all about stopping the Liam Banks train, and he got out for 5. So they did, they managed it. He got a few wickets, but he didn't clean up as he can do. So 9 overs, 2 for 23, which is still pretty good going. Open the batting, but open the bowling. But a really really good win for Newcastle and Hartshill. Early doors, it throws open the door a little bit for the rest of the challengers. But Leek didn't manage to take advantage. They lost to Monishall and Alton, getting bowled out for 111. Rory Hayden 43 for them. Samuel Kelsall 57. JG Meekins bowled out for 146, and Alsgar got that relatively comfortably with 4 wickets remaining.
That would be Alsager, Hugh.
Oh, Alsager. There we go. I've never even read that before in my life, that name. So Alsager. Very good. It's an interesting group of scores. Longton didn't manage to get Stones 165, but we know it's a tough league to score runs, don't
Absolutely.
we? And it kind of proved it this weekend. Top scoring game, Bagnall Norton against Audley. Audley got it done there with
overs to spare.
Bagnall Norton 195 for 7, and Audley got it done pretty comfortably with 5 wickets remaining. Stephen Stolk 72. Off just 59 balls. Robert Hemmings 71 for Audley. Freddie Dorbar 2 for 33 at top of their bowls.
Interestingly, again, as I say, 5 away wins, 1 home. No one won by an absolute bloody mile. 4 wickets, 5 wickets, 30 odd runs for it. So it is a league that we think just remains close year in, year out, doesn't it? And everyone seems to beat everyone, especially early season, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that in the coming weeks. I do wonder whether some of, as Matt Taaffe's already said to us, some of the pros and the overseas are still to come over and to jump in there, because that would clearly make a difference, definitely.
Yeah, it's a difficult league to score runs in, isn't it? And there's some such good quality players knocking about. So, we'll see how they go. But, they don't often produce players other than Liam Banks towards the top of the batting charts.
Absolutely. Let's finish off with the stats of the week then, Hugh. Biggest run scorers of the weekend. What have you got, mate?
Sam Perry, who I believe now, thanks to our friends in the Cheshire.
He came within 1/6 of breaking the league record.
Yeah, well, who was the source of that? We should probably credit
Cheshire
the
League.
source.
It's Cheshire League.
Is it just Cheshire League's website, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, so Sam Perry came within
1/6 of breaking the league record. There's only one person ever scored a 200 in the Cheshire League, and he got within 1/6 of doing it. He was on 197 going into the last over.
Thanks to the Cheshire League stats people for that. Henry Redmayne for Lutterworth, 178 not out against Kegworth in the Leicestershire and Rutland League. John Oswell, familiar name, just the 156 off just 113 balls for Burnett Field against Tynemouth in the North East Prem, and Sheikh Chowdhury 151 not out for Sheffield Collegiate and the Yorkshire Prem South against Shire Green, and then Sam Everson with a rather rapid 150 off just 78 balls for Bourne in the Lincolnshire Prem. It's a name that's been popping up in some twos games and national counties games and stuff.
I think I read today that he got dropped on 0 as well.
I think I read that as well. Yeah. That's a painful. I hope it was a really difficult chance. Let's hope it wasn't an absolute dolly. It was a great start there.
I think the one that I've got to point out there is the Henry Redmayne 178 for Lutterworth. He's 18 years old.
There we go.
18 years old, 178 off 160 in that win over Kegworth. Welcome to the Premier League.
I'll take that first go. Yeah,
absolutely.
Just the casual 178. And then most wickets. Dan Evans, as we mentioned there, with his 8 for, nobody else come anywhere close to that. Quite a few 6-fers. We've got 10 6-fers, including Tom Sefferman, Ben Whitehouse, 6 for 26. Bracebridge Heath, Ijaz Alavi, 16 overs, 6 for 28. And there's Shashindu Columbage with his 9 overs, 6 for 33. And then Sean Von Berg at Ramsbottom, 6 for 34 versus Darwin. So, that's the top 5. But, there's a fair few 6-fers. We've got going down to, we've gone past 35-fers. Let's see how many we've got. About 38 5-fers and above over the weekend.
Not bad out of 105 games.
Yeah, not bad, and considering the state of the pitches, so that's really good. And then if you just look at the all-rounders, which is always a bit of fun, just jump into all-round single performances. Josh Smith at Peterborough, 135 off 136 and 5 wickets. Not
He
bad.
also got dropped early as well. I think dropped on 4 maybe.
Oh. Just don't drop them is all we say, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's great stuff. Thanks, you. Just to round up, Mark, Oundle Town, you had a great season last year getting to that national final. And obviously, the disappointment of not being able to play the game first and foremost, that's the biggest one, isn't it? If I was to put three trophies in front of you right now, which is the number one target for you? Is it the T20? Is it the national knockouts? Or is it the league?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of people would sit here and say either one of the national ones, but equally Oundle have never won the Premier Division in Northants. So I think that's the one that we're all looking towards. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned earlier, there is a certain amount of luck involved in getting into the nationals, certainly having a good run in them. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where we're focused this year, doing well in the league. I think we were second or third last year and very similar the year before. And if we're brutally honest, there are a couple of performances in there that cost us big time. Mm-hmm. So luckily with the same sort of squad, we're hoping to go one better this year. And as I say, if we get a run in either the National 40 or the 2020 as well, then that's brilliant as well.
Does that take your eye off the ball a little bit, though? Is that the danger when it comes to the league? We've seen it with both Brentwood and Northern last year, both coming second in their respective leagues. It is by trying even to progress in what is classed, as you mentioned, as potentially a relatively where luck can play a big part. Is it a danger that getting lucky in one league is unlucky in another?
Yeah, it can be. And as I mentioned earlier, club cricket availability plays a massive issue. And then if suddenly you've got several weekends in a row where you've got 2 games, Saturday and Sunday, I'm sure there's quite a few players that are getting pressure from home about playing 2 days. So, if you have a run in one, it can certainly be detrimental as well. So I think we're just enjoying our cricket. We play in quite a free-spirited way, attacking with the bat, try and take wickets with the ball. And I think that shows in some of the results. So hopefully a laid back approach, enjoying our cricket, enjoying everyone's success. Hopefully we'll have another good season.
Well, fingers crossed we get to see you have that run in one of the nationals, because then we'll be somewhere around the grounds potentially. But then we'll hopefully get down to Northants, one of us, during the season, and have a look what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Oundle's not a bad place to go to, is it? At the end of the day, is it? Could think of the best place to go to.
Yeah, there are definitely worse places, and both of you are always welcome at Oundle.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I would say is that if I didn't get this in, I'd be doing a disservice to myself. What you've said basically is exactly what my favourite football manager in the world said at the weekend. Liverpool won the league. Mr. Tom Lambert, if you're listening, you'll never walk alone, mate. Bread and butter. The league's your bread and butter. Everything else is the icing on the cake. Bill Shankly said that in 1964, and it still stands today. Get your league right.
Yeah,
things can follow. And as you say, you need a lot of luck in the T20 to get just into the national rounds, to be frank.
100%.
And then you look at the draw when it comes to the national knockout, which I've got in front of me. You guys could go up against Wanstead and Snaresbrook in a couple of rounds' time, who are renowned for going long in the nationals. It's just how it gets drawn. You can't do anything about it.
No, not at all. So, yeah, hopefully the league and anything else is a bonus.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Great to see you, Mark. It's been a long
Thank you for having me.
September. Can you believe the weather we've got today compared to last time we saw each other face to face?
I know.
You couldn't get better.
Polar opposite, isn't it?
Absolutely. Not polar. All the best, mate, for the season. Give our best to the lads at Oundle, and look.
Yeah, we'll do. Perfect. Thanks, Ian. Thanks you.
Cheers, you.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us at the Premier League Cricket Club. We'll be back soon with more from the world of Premier League and NCCA cricket. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review and follow us wherever you get your socials. Or maybe check out our website, premierleaguecricket.co.uk, to stay updated. Until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.